Where you want me to sign it? Sign it.
Fine. You're good. It's just weird. This is just a live chat. Um. Anyway. Uh.
And don't forget you have to go out and
So
do that
here's the
custom.
thing: if we only put our audio from here, it's not gonna catch any of this audio.
It was working. Um,
Unless if we have this reconnected into here so that
what? Hold on. Let's try that right there. Wait. I need that. It was. Which one was it? It was one of these. I promise you, he did this. And
can't be the roadcaster because you're just gonna keep hearing us until I mute on.
test. So it was. So I think it was this one right here.
Which will
That,
also do the same exact thing.
what? Here, let's try that right there. I don't know what that is. Try that. Try that. If you can hear it on YouTube. You're going to look at this one right here. No, I can't hear it on YouTube.
You have the mute thing on YouTube on the screen.
Oh, oh yeah, it's on YouTube. So it's just
User error.
shut up. Okay, so let me go over to Zoom real quick.
Camera's on. We're gonna look at
Which camera?
one you told me that was over there to look at.
Oh, I don't know what Wes is doing. Wes is over there perfecting whatever he's perfecting. So we're gonna know. What's wrong with the cameras, Wes? Okay, no, it go right there into that little charger. All of those are charged.
That one's on a battery. Well, be honest. If she just looking at this camera, that dies after she does what she's doing.
Oh yeah, okay.
So, they're gonna still be able to hear us on Zoom,
What do you mean?
and they won't be able to.
I can live with that for right now. I ain't got no other choice. I'll fix that.
So give it a sign or something. Yeah. Is that in the beginning or in the end?
So whenever we switch to a commercial, which we have three, we have how many videos do we have? So we're gonna take it's three videos. It's the intro.
You know what? I'll fix it. Worry about staying quiet. I'll do it.
Just want some sound. Okay. Okay, weird. Huh? We are 2 minutes out.
everybody to Next Level Conversations. And boy, tonight, do we have a sweet treat for you on Valentine's Day. We're going to change it up a little bit. And tonight, Shantae Finney, who is the host and the creator and mastermind behind Next Level Conversation, is now our guest. And she's going to answer questions, everything relationships. So it's important that we get you to put your relationship questions in that chat box and let's make her smile and maybe even giggle a little bit.
Let's be kind to her.
Yes. And our theme is relationship rescue. And the reason is so often in relationships, whether it's friendships, family, business, personal, we always blame it on somebody else, right? And we want somebody else to change, to save the relationship if they just did this. When, much like when you're on the airplane, you got to put the oxygen mask on you first. So, we're going to ask some questions to give you some tips, strategies, insight on maybe some thoughts and insights that you never thought of before, or look at something a different way. Because Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And we want to enhance your relationships. So let's get going. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Lauren Fisher, and thank you for asking me to be your guest host. And
Thank you for saying yes. This is gonna be fun.
sure, start off with some friendship.
Okay.
Because when we're little, we start off with our family and then we start to build friendships. And those different relationships kind of build a foundation for personal relationships, right? They give us some experience. So, what would you say is the difference between a friend and an acquaintance? Because when we're little, and even if you're a giving adult, everybody's your friend, everybody you meet is your friend. What's the difference between a friend and an acquaintance?
Um, so I agree with you. I started off, you know, identifying everybody as my friend, at one point in my life. But now that that I've matured, I take the definition and I live it by the Bible. So the Bible talks about a friend you tell things to, you tell them what you're going to do. Jesus had friends in the Bible, and there were certain truths, there were certain secrets, there were certain insights that he told them that he did not tell everybody else that were affiliated with him. He loved everybody, but everybody wasn't in that close knit. So the Bible talks about you're no longer, God no longer calls us a servant, but now I'm a friend. I'm a friend of God because God tells me different things. He tells me secrets. He tells me insightful things that he just doesn't share with everybody else. So now that's how I identify um, my friends and put people in different categories in my life. Who am I sharing different things with, the most intimate parts of my, of my psyche, of my being? I have friends, I have acquaintances, I have just the general public, and I do share, but there are some people that I take a more intimate approach with, and I tell them things that I do not tell everybody else. So
Ask you this. Can you swap places? Can a friend become an acquaintance? Can
I
an acquaintance become a friend? Can you move that friendship? Because sometimes we stay friends out of loyalty or
mhm.
situations. And so, can we change roles within all those different titles and labels?
I think you can. Totally think you can. One of the things that I do is I'm not going to say I change roles with people, but sometimes the access and the things that I once was sharing with different people, because of different seasons in our life, we have grown apart. And we may come back together. And so those relationships may come back and be even more stronger or different stuff like that. But I don't really move people into acquaintances. Once you're a friend, you are a friend, but you may not get as much access to me as you once did, because of whatever reason, which is normally on the part of both of us. So
I love that. I love that. That's great. Do you think, from what you've seen and experienced with friends and acquaintances, do you think friendships are as equally important to men as they are to women?
Oh, I
From
from
you can come in and this is another good.
this is just based upon my experience. No, because some of the vast majority of the male relationships that I have, no, they just men do not, in my opinion, men they can, man, I don't need no more friends. I don't, forget it. I don't, I'd rather be by myself. Women, we're so emotional, and we need that connection, so we're constantly acquiring friends and acquiring relationships. I think, just based upon my experience,
Mhm.
in the men that I've had experience with, they have real small circles of homeboys and stuff like that, and it seems as if they take them and leave them and stuff like that, or they don't talk to them often. Women, in my opinion, are a lot different.
And it's interesting you say that because I polled some men, I interviewed some men prior to this to get their opinions on a few different things
Uh-huh.
because so often we ask our girlfriends for advice and they'll give you advice on men based on their experience, but it's really subjective. So I went right to the source for some
Uh-huh.
of these. And what you're saying is some of the feedback that I got that yes, they have friends. Yes, they do things and they like to go golfing with them and
Mhm.
fishing and, go watch the game, right? But if something emotional is going on in their life, they're not discussing that. Women are going to talk to all their friends and tell all of them. Men are going to hold it in because they're going to figure out a way to solve the problem.
Just based upon, this is solely based upon my experience, and at the end of the month we're gonna have some men on the show and ask them this question. But I tend to agree. I tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah. So Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Your actions speak so clearly, I can't hear what you're saying."
Mm,
And I love the way he phrases that. I'm prefacing this next piece with that because, well, a few things.
okay.
I'm really working on and being intentional with not using the word busy
Okay.
because if you call me up and say, "Girl, what are you doing?" and I say, "Shantae, I'm so busy. I've been so busy," it feels heavy. It never feels good when I use the word busy.
Okay.
And then here's the second part of that. We've all had friends that we text to check in, we don't hear back.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're with them, they always have their phone in their hand. And then, or you call them and you get their voicemail. And a few weeks later, you call again and you get their voicemail. And maybe a month later or so, they get back to you and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy." And you are the one always reaching out. And they're always telling you they're so busy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? You're so busy. I'm not calling you anymore. And I'll say, "Why don't you call me when you have a chance?" And then when I stop calling, because we teach people how to treat us,
I agree.
when I stop calling and texting, guess what? I don't hear from them. And then they wonder, how come I haven't heard from her? Well, honey, you've been telling me you're so busy all the time. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay.
So I think it's to be mindful. And when you say you're busy, what if you were to, what other words can you switch that out to that might feel empowering, that might feel inspiring, that might make you feel good about what you've been doing lately?
Hmm. You know what? I always tell people that life is happening and it's moving, and that's my response, because that's not putting a negative spin on it or anything like that, because life is always happening and moving. And so, instead of saying, "Girl, I've been so busy," girl, I just been doing life. Life is moving and having its way. And sometimes I'll hit life is life. And so that can mean absolutely anything. And that gives a lot of room for whatever interpretation, and it opens the door for conversation, it closes, and it also allows me to not commit myself to anything. So that's what I use.
What I notice is when you say these words, your tone that you're putting behind it, like tone matters.
Yeah, I never. No, girl, life is so big. I do not do that. That I do not do.
How did
But
it
I,
feel when you just said that like
yeah,
that?
I
How did
don't.
that feel?
It doesn't even resonate with me. So to immediately get out of it because it's so easy to get to take on that and get stuck in that mood. So I immediately, I'm like, oh, that's not even me.
So, like reframing and switching out words and tones matter.
It really does. But when somebody is really your friend, to me, in my opinion, and based upon my relationships, I don't have to take all of those extra added careful steps. I get to show up and be whatever and whoever I am in that moment because this person is my friend. Now, you talk about you texting and people don't text back and stuff like that. I when you are when you are my friend, I understand those concepts. I understand that I mean, I literally try to put myself in people's shoes. Life has gotten busy. When you get ready and you get some space, holler at me. And it's still the same because and this is just me. Everybody does not think like me because believe me, I know a whole lot of people who agree with you where you're not putting in energy and time to talk to me. All of that is great and wonderful, but I have been that person who really want to stay,
Mhm.
but life has just gotten so out of
Yes,
control.
yes.
And so, you know, and time moves so fast, and then you look up and you're like, oh God, it's been 3 months since I talked to her. And you start to feel bad. But I have relationships that it can be 3 months and we pick up the phone and it was just like
Mhm.
we talked yesterday. Those are real, true, genuine relationships to me. And I like giving my friends the freedom to be that so that they don't have to you don't have to explain why you haven't talked to me. Let's just catch up. Okay,
Yeah.
it's all good. Let's go. So every person is different.
Yes. Now, how about now? You are very outgoing,
Uh,
extroverted. You meet
I'm
people.
actually really shy.
I know that about you. You do have a shy side. However, people are drawn to you. They're drawn to your light. They're drawn to your vibrancy. And you do make friends easily or acquaintances. You
Hmm.
build connection easily. Okay. You are not so shy that you don't accept attempts from other people or make attempts yourself.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to people who are so not like you? They're so, maybe they're not even introverted, maybe they are reserved. And they are just so fearful of making the first step, or maybe not even fearful. They just don't know what to do. And they're sitting home saying, I wish I had some friends. I wish I
Mm.
had some connections. You and I, because of the road we've been exposed to and traveled, we become kind of strategic about it. But somebody in that situation who hasn't been down the path we've been
Mhm.
wouldn't even know where to begin.
Mhm.
Like, I wish I had more friends. I wish somebody would call me. I wish somebody would reach out to me. What advice would you give them to where could they start? Where could they look? What are some steps they could take to put
Mm.
themselves in the right situation? How can they create their own opportunity instead of waiting for it to knock on the door? Because let's face it, you're just going to get the Instacart guy showing up with your pizza.
Oh, okay. Um, well, again, I go back to scripture because the Bible talks about to be friendly, you have to first show to have friends, you have to first show yourself friendly. And I meet people all the time that talk about how they're lonely and nobody calls them and nobody is doing this, nobody's checking on them, but they are literally shutting themselves off and they are not even checking on others. So what I want, what you want, you first have to give.
Ooh, I like
To have all, you have to give all. And it's not easy. It is not easy making creating relationships is not easy. Trusting people, especially when you've been hurt, when you are not used to, um, you know, putting yourself out there. But one of the things that I know is that the trick of the enemy is to make us feel like we're so alone and nobody cares. And once you start down that road, it becomes a real it becomes a real mindset, and you can find yourself in a straight up spiral of no, nobody loves me, nobody. And so you don't make moves, and you find yourself stuck, and then you're dying in a house. So what would I tell somebody? I would tell them the simple thing: go for a walk and say hi to somebody on in the walking. People are so friendly especially early in the morning. They are friendly. You can meet people all the time, and you probably not meet somebody the first time, but get out and start going for a walk. When you're in the store, say hi, put a smile on your face and say hi. How are you doing? I just naturally speak to people. Hi, how you doing? Are you having a good day? Just being simply kind, showing myself friendly. And I remember one time I was in Half Price Books. I just saw this girl. I was like, girl, how you doing? And literally we just started talking, and she just started telling me her whole life. But it was just a simple hi. I opened myself up, and uh, you, you can't go wrong with a high. You can't go wrong with a smile. We walk around with a look like this on our face, and we're wondering why people are not approaching us, or our words we're speaking. We want relationship. We were created for a relationship. Okay, we were created for a relationship. But the main thing that comes out of a lot of our mouths: oh, I don't need nobody. I don't need people. I don't, you know what? I don't need no friends. Blah, blah. But then we turn around and we talk about how lonely we are, how miserable we are, how nobody's checking on us. Well, your words are your words are killing you. You're killing yourself. And so you're putting all of that negative energy not just out in the atmosphere, but in your spirit. And so your subconscious is just all responding, and you're getting exactly what it is that you're saying. So go for a walk and say hi to somebody while you're
Right?
on your walk.
Yeah, that's because you can do that anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Anywhere, in any city, anywhere, at any time. Just hi, hi.
And I love how you said, first you got to be what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put it out there, right? And I read somewhere that people are attracted to people that are either like them or they want to be like.
Mm.
They're repulsed by something they don't want to be like. So to your point, if you're walking through the store or down the street and you see somebody with a scowl, you're going to be, anxious to go and talk them up.
Well, yeah, have a
Yeah.
conversation with them. But I will. People who got them real long faces, I will walk by and I was like, "How are you doing? Just hope you have a good day." And they always just kind of perk up, like, hi, because and I think a lot of people don't even recognize that their face is looking like
Yeah.
that. But I make it my business every single
Yeah,
time.
there's a gentleman named Joseph who works at Methodist Hospital in the parking garage. He's a parking attendant at the Colorado location. And when you walk up, he will say some vibrant words and get you to smile. And then he looks at you and goes, see that smile on your face? That belongs to you and nobody can take it from
Yep.
you. You don't let anybody take that away from you. And you can't help but smile at this man because of his approach and his just engagement in what
Yes.
to do. All right. So this question pertains to any type of relationship,
Okay.
ghosting.
Oh Lord.
So I'm just going to ask you a question now. I'm not referring to the situations when there's abuse of any kind, but I don't know if you've ever had it happen where a long time friend, I'm talking
Mm.
10, 20, 30 years, suddenly disappears, or a family member just stops talking to you and you don't know why. And you sit there and try to think back about those last conversations. What happened? What did I do? What did I not do? Um, First, let me ask you this. Is there a better way to handle it? And can ghosting in that manner, when there's not abuse of any kind involved, can that contribute to mental illness, in your opinion?
Okay, one, I'm not a mental health expert, so let
Depressed?
me.
Dysfunction?
It really could. However, and it's so interesting because our show last week, we had the relationship expert on the show last week, and she was talking about ghosting and times when ghosting is okay. And I recently was ghosted, which now that I figured out what it is, because at first I didn't know what it was. And now that I have figured out what it is, yes, it can send somebody, I believe, totally into a depression because nobody wants to be left. Nobody
Abandoned.
wants to be abandoned or rejected. But here's the thing that I have realized in life, and even when this person just did what they did, we we try to hold on to people way sometimes longer than they're supposed to be. Everybody is not meant for every step of your journey. Some relationships are seasonal, some are a lifetime. And this is even family members. Some people, everybody is just not meant to be in your full circle and have that level of access to you. The problem, and God really knows, the problem that we have is we think it's our right to hoard people and hoard relationships, and
Mm.
we don't realize. I heard somebody say a long time ago, God heard the conversation that was taking place when I wasn't even around. And so we want to hold on to people. We want to hold on to relationships. I want you to be, you know what? Our journey has stopped and it's okay.
So, what is a small affirmation or mantra you can tell the audience to tell themselves if they find themselves in that situation and they have no idea what to do and they're hurting really bad?
When, and we're about to go to a commercial break here in just a second. When my husband walked out on me and he pretty much ghosted me. Okay. Now that I understand what ghosting is, he pretty much ghosted me. And I was crying and it was rough. But the one thing God kept telling me, he said, Shantae, if you needed that relationship to go where I'm taking you, you would still have that relationship. And then I got to thinking about the other people in my life, like my dad, who was never present. And God reminded me again, if you needed him to be who I want you to be, he would be present in your life. But the fact that he is not here is an indication that you don't need him for your next level.
I love that.
And so that is how I have learned, because in this season of my life, a lot of people have come and a lot of people have gone, some for a season. And now I've just realized, instead of getting hurt and getting my feelings all out of whack about it, I'm not mad at anybody. It's, I don't need them the way that I needed them before. And
Mhm.
that's okay. Now they're free to go do and be who they need to be.
That is
And I'm
powerful.
free to go. So when you find yourself in that place, that's just how I handle it. When people stop calling me, it just, our season is up. And that relationship, I don't need it in the same way as I did before. And if I did, God would be providing
You
it.
give me chills.
Oh.
That's pretty powerful. And that's a good mantra to remember. Yes.
All right. So Lauren has come with some real good questions. We are going
Really?
to, I'm hosting and co-hosting at the same time. We are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with your
Okay.
next round of questions. Oh my God.
Do some. I am so excited to share with you and dive into this question: what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be perceived as? How do you want to be received? We're going to talk about your personal brand. Who are you? What do you want to be known for? It's interesting because when we think of branding, we also think, I have to be an entrepreneur. I have to own my own business. That's not true. Anybody and everybody. We are our own walking brand, and we're going to have fun doing some exercises and diving in and getting to know ourselves and diving in and getting to know, what do we want to be known for? How do you get there? How do you get there? We're going to show you, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We're back. We're back. Okay, so this next part, I want to talk about personal relationships, intimate relationships. And we're going to do a little role play because I feel like it'd be powerful for this. So,
Oh Lordy.
what happens if you don't water a plant?
Well, they died.
And it's not a cactus, it died.
They died.
Now, imagine this, you go to your sister's house, and your 2-year-old niece comes running up to greet you at the door. And what do you say to little Sally as she runs up to you and greets you? What would you say to her? How would you act?
Oh. So my Jace, he does just that. And he be like,
They'll do that to a little kid. Like, you can't help it, right? We get so enthusiastic.
well, I do that with adults too.
I guess you. Now you come home from work and you have a dog or a cat. You have some kind of pet.
Okay.
And that pet greets you at the door.
Yeah.
And so, how do you respond to that pet greeting you at the door?
Bella, my dog, when she greets me at the door, I'll be like, hey, my Tinky. Hey, my Bella. Hey, honey, did you miss me? So, okay,
Now,
I'll figure.
how do most people greet their spouse or significant other or their partner
Oh,
when they
Lord.
walk in the door after, whether it's been 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Well, I cannot speak to how everybody agree because I just don't know. Okay. I will talk about myself when I was married. And in the beginning, I used to greet
Not the
him.
beginning.
I'm just saying, in the
Yeah.
beginning, I used to greet him like I greet the children and like I greet the dog. 15 years in, oh, hey, I mean, like no energy, no enthusiasm. So yeah, you just really kind of hit hard. I do not do that now, but years into marriage, because I think you just you, as I've been talking with my friends, sometimes we just start taking people for granted, and they don't seem, they don't seem to be happy to see us. The kids and the dog, they're happy when we come home. So you just feel that energy, but me and Gary got to the point where we would just be like, "Hey, how's your day? Hey, how's your day?" And we didn't even try on his part or my part because we just got settled and we just started taking each other for granted.
If we'd like to build closer connection with our significant other, whether it's husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, often we expect them to change. Well, if they only did this,
Mhm.
then I wouldn't respond like this.
Mhm.
What would happen if we started acting differently? And actually, there is, I believe it's called the Pygmalion effect. If you treat people the way you'd like them to be, eventually they will start acting in that manner.
Mm.
Right? Like, you can look it up. They've done tests on kids in school. They did these experiments. It was just interesting. So, what do you think would happen if, well, we're here talking, a lot of women happen to watch the show, right? So,
Mhm.
and women tend to be a little more emotional and loving, warm, and fuzzy, right? So, what if we started acting a little differently, a little warmer when we walked in the door? What do you think would happen?
Um. Well, first, you may probably. His question is, what's going on with you? You know, like because you know when you switch up behavior, and the one thing that I've learned is when you change, you automatically think that people are going to respond to your change and start changing as well. And I have found that they do not. But here's the principle that I live by, Lauren. Regardless of what you do, I treat people how I want to be treated.
Mhm.
So even in my marriage, that's apparently how I wanted to be treated because that's how I was treating him. I was handling him how apparently I wanted him to handle me. I don't do that. And now I've changed. I've changed because now I understand. I know how I want people to, I know how I want people to act, you know, when they see me. So I'm going to give them that. And now I've found that people really do match my enthusiasm. Not everybody, and that's the reason why those are not people that I'm consistently in
Mhm.
connection with. They're not part of my everyday circle. But for the most part, people I have found. But sometimes people would just kind of look at me like, Shantae, you just got way too much. But I'm excited to see you. And whether you respond to me the way that I respond to you is irrelevant. But I'm giving you the energy that I want to receive from other people. And so I think when we start acting like that, when we as women start looking at life like that and start acting like that, I think over time things will change and you got to be excited. You got to find some
And you
excitement about
be
your
more intentional and more self-aware in what was important to you.
what yes, you I mean, I can't expect even our greeting to change if all I'm hey, hey, what's up?
But you knew what you wanted. You knew what you wanted the outcome to be.
Now I
So
do.
let's talk about expectations because here's the other thing that I know I was guilty of in the past, and I do my best to be better at. I was that woman that I had expectations of you. You didn't meet my expectations, and now you're in trouble. But here's the thing: you didn't even know what my expectations
True,
were, so you couldn't live up to them if you tried because I had expectations. You didn't know what they were. You failed. You're in trouble. We
true,
have a problem.
true.
So how important do you think it is after you gain some self awareness
Mm.
and intention to define expectations, especially in a personal relationship, especially, at our age, we have a little more knowledge and experience, right? Is it a good idea or a bad idea to go into a relationship and if you see potential with somebody to define your expectations and ask them, what are their expectations? How do they receive love? How do they give love? How do they, what do you want a dating relationship to look like? What do you want it to feel like?
I think everybody is different and everybody has to you have to do what works for you. Okay? So I'm gonna start out by saying that. I myself have learned to let go of expectations. Release them all. I have learned to be intentionally present in the relationship and in the moment. And that means we're having conversations and I'm listening. So I'm not just hearing your words, but I'm also watching your action and you are watching my actions. So I'm looking at consistency. I'm looking at how you're speaking and the things that you start. Where are you with continuing in those things? I have a friend who uh, this particular friend would give me a hug every time we saw each other. And then one day, just no hug. And I was just kind of looking like, okay. And the friend looked at me and was like, "What's the problem?" I was like, "Well, you normally give me a hug." So I'm just, I'm not saying that that's what I expect, but I'm saying that you started that pattern of behavior and I actually enjoyed it. And so what I've tried to do is just release all expectations and you have the freedom and I like it because I don't want anybody putting any
Mhm.
expectations on me. Don't Yeah, let's just leave them at the door. Give me the freedom to breathe and I'm going to give you the freedom to completely just show me who you are. And if we can rock together, then we can rock together. If we can't, then this particular type of relationship is not for us. And I do that in all my relationships, not just romantic relationships, but you are free to be whoever you are. If you call me once a week, hey, if you call me 4 times a week, what whoever you want to be, yeah, whoever you want to be, I'm releasing you to be that person because I want to be free to be who I want to be without you putting a whole lot of obligations on me. I was in obligation relationships. You got to do this, you got to do this.
Mhm.
And I tried to meet all of those
Yeah.
expectations and obligations, spoken and unspoken. Well, this is what I expect. This is what I expect. This is what I expect. The only thing I expect from you is to be open and honest, and let's just be free to be us, whoever that is, because I want to see who you really are, and I want you to see who I really am.
And with that, um, and I think that sounds wonderful. And that those are great points and great insights. And you have done the work to, and I know you're not done. We're never done getting to know who we are and what's
Hmm.
important to us, right? And what we want our life to look like and feel like. But what is the difference between, oh, first, let me just stop and back up. So, first of all, when I met Shantae February 2020, right before COVID, like right before,
Wait,
she did not, she did not have a show. She didn't have a magazine. She did not know photography. She did not know nutrition and personal training. Um, the list goes boxing, boxing. We boxed
I
together.
had started. I had been boxing in
Okay.
2020.
All right. She did get me up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. But what I'm saying is, Shantae is a high achiever. And whatever she sets her goals on and her sights on, she accomplishes. And she's very driven and diligent. And now that's not to say anything about somebody who's different. Some people are enjoying their relaxing life. They get up, they take care of the kids, they go to work. Um, it's whatever fulfills you, right? That's what's important, whatever fulfills you and getting to know what that is. However, when you're a high achieving person,
Hmm.
would you say that dating a high achiever like you and somebody compared to somebody who's more subdued in life, do you have to be more careful choosing somebody who can walk this path with you, who can connect and understand and support you? Because as someone who is achieving big things day after day after day with different requirements for your partner, so you don't have somebody derail you from where you truly belong.
100%. You have to. I have.
Like, could you date
I'm.
independent?
I no. I
And there's
I have
nothing wrong with that. Everybody's in a different season of their life, but the point is here is understanding different relationships and what will work for you and what's
yes.
best for you and coming together and connecting.
I have had and not trying to boast or anything, but I get approached by a lot of different people. And one of the benefits of dating is learning what works for you and what doesn't, as opposed to meeting somebody and then trying to make an instant connection and, oh, we're going to be together, we're going to be together. So I've learned how to flow in relationships and not put people automatically in categories, because we meet and you may not be somebody that I'm meant to date, but we're probably meant to be friends or something like that. And so the benefit of that has shown me that I can't walk with just anybody in that setting, in that intimate setting, romantic setting, as a partner, a full partner, because I'm on a mission. I am intentional these days. I'm no longer living for others, but I'm focused on Shantae and the things that God has set for me to do, which is, a lot. And I'm excited about it. And I love the energy and the freedom and the balance of my life. However, That does not mean that I do not want a relationship. And so I have learned that I've had people try to put me in the perfect box over here to be. I need you to be. I want you here with me. I want you here with me. Well, I have other things that I need to do. And there was once upon a time in my life where I would make myself sick and stretch myself to try to be all for them and neglect me and the assignment that God has put me on. So I would put them ahead of my purpose. Now I do not do that. I'm very intentional about the routines and the things in my life, and so have to connect with and be with somebody who understands that, who's walking that same path, who's on the same journey, and who understands the importance of focus and discipline. But we're still intentional about making room for each other. So it's a balance. And
Where would you tell somebody to start? So, somebody in a relationship that I think we've all been through that, right? Because that's how we gain experience in dating and relationships is we meet somebody, we like them, ooh, they seem fun. And then we're trying to fit them in our box. They're trying to fit us in their box, and the boxes don't even match. And then we blame the other person for
mhm.
this terrible relationship. So sometimes people just are unaware, right? They don't know this realization that you've come to. What are some simple steps that they can take to get to know themselves so so they can have a better picker? Yeah, because picker is a little off, and we are so swayed by words instead of actions, like you were saying, right? But what are some very basics that you could tell somebody to start working on themselves?
To work on themselves. Okay. Well, I always start with the first two questions. And it's a, where are you and where do you want to go? Who are you today and who do you want to be? Figure those two things out and take the time to figure it out. Let it take however long it needs to
Mm.
take to get clear on where you are, but most importantly where you want to go, because once you have a clear vision in your head of where you want to go and what you want life to look like for you, your level of happiness, your balance, your spiritual being, your relationships, your just every aspect of you. And take the time to be very detailed, and it's solely, this is a private thing,
Yes.
solely for you. And so you look at where I am now. This is not working for me. This is not working for me. I don't like this. This is not working for this. This is what I want, even though and sometimes you can't see it. So you have to dream it. You have to visualize it. Go find somebody who's doing it and figure out the parts of them that, I like how she wears her hair. I like how she talks. I like how she thinks. And figure out. And it's a exploratory journey, and you literally get the freedom to be whoever it is that you want to be. You get to create. You get to recreate your life, and you get back control of it. So that would be my first step to answer those two questions. Where am I? And then where do I want? What do I want? What do I really want? Where this girl that I want to be, what type of relationships does she have? How does she dress? What does she eat? Where does she work? What does she do every day? When you can lay all of that out,
Mhm.
everything else begins to flow after that. There's more work that needs to be done, but that's the first place that I would say to start, because if you don't know what you want,
Mhm.
how can anybody else give you what you want? You want me to give you what you want, and you're not even clear on what it is that you want. And you want me to be somebody that you don't even know, and you're not even yourself.
So that person that you're expecting, or they might assume you want them to be, might not even be that.
And it may not be what you want.
And then what's interesting when you don't have that level of awareness and it ends, often we get into that somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong.
Mm,
he or she did this and that's why it ended. When instead of looking at it like we're just not in sync.
Yeah. And sometimes this is what I've realized in life again. Sometimes people just outgrow. Our season has ended. Our season has ended. One of the things when I got married, I was when I got married, I was a I had been a hurt little girl who turned into a woman who was still hurting, and I was looking for some level of protection. I was looking for something, and I was not healed. I was not whole. I didn't know enough about myself. It was just so many blanks, right? And I picked my husband based upon the pain that I was in and the fear that I was experiencing, not who I actually was and where I was going and what I wanted. I chose based upon that immediate need, and I chose from a hurt place, from a very distorted, corrupted heart, corrupted mind. But then I began to grow. And you can grow with people. And he chose the same, he was in the same place. Then we began to grow and life began to continue to go. And we were trying to make it work and stay committed to the commitment that we made, which is great and that's perfect. But I eventually healed. I eventually healed, and the reason why I got into the relationship the first then is not the same reason now, because I'm not the same person. I've changed and I know more about me, and I'm not choosing out of pain. I'm not choosing out of fear. So I can also take my time,
I love that.
and I can really find out what I like and find out what I want, and be okay saying, our season is over and done with, and it's okay. It really is. It's okay.
Now, with that, you are a very strong, assertive woman. And there's a lot around for years about feminine and masculine
Oh,
energy, right? And that some women have become so masculine that they don't embrace their femininity. And that's debatable. It's all subjective to the person and their experience. And a woman can be strong and assertive and still be feminine.
hmm
And, we had these traditional roles, and roles have changed. Women are working, making things happen on every level. So, in the dating world, whether it's online or in person, should the man make the first move? Should he be
oh,
asking the woman out? Is it okay for the woman to message the guy and ask him out, or if she met him in person? And, well, I'll let you answer that, Chase, and then I'll follow up with another question.
promise you, we had this discussion last week with our relationship expert, with our relationship coach. And again, it's going to be very interesting to have a male's perspective on this. I'm going to tell you about Shantae. I cannot talk to anybody
Mhm.
else. Okay. I personally, and I I'm working really hard to stay out of my masculine energy and be more feminine. I've been working on that for years. Me and God have really been working on laying down that armor, and just, Shantae, because you're a woman and all these different types of things. But at the same time, I have no problem. I'm not shy to talk. And if I see something that I like, or if I meet somebody that I find interesting and we have a connection, I have no problem shooting a text saying hi.
What
um
about asking him to go to dinner?
I have no problem doing that. Do you want Hey, you want to go out? You want to go hang? You want to go kick it? I think it's the way that you do it. Sometimes I can come off, I've been told sometimes I can come off a little too masculine, so I work on, not being as straightforward, cuz I'm just, hey, uh you want to go, so, I think it's the way that you say it. And you are really good at it. But you want to go
Well,
do
thank
you
you.
want to go get you want to go get something to drink, or you want to hang out, you want to, I use exercise, you want to You want to get a workout in, different things like that. I don't
They
think
don't
there
know what
is,
they're in for.
I don't think that there is anything wrong with it. I know that I know there's a lot of debate around it, but as our guest was saying last week, we 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 think men are always supposed to make the first move, and they have issues, and they're shy too. And so, there's nothing wrong with giving a smile or changing your body language to let them know that you are open, and that's the first, subtle things like that can be
Right.
the first move.
I actually talked to a few men about this and I asked them that question. And some of the men were my age and some were in their 20s,
Hmm.
in their late 20s. And the response was, it's nice when a woman reaches out because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on men. And especially if they're online, they're either messaging all these women just to say hello as
Hmm.
an introduction, or women are popping in their box and it's just a lot. And especially there's a lot of men who um not to profile, but um, their jobs may be more strenuous, or they might be in higher positions, or a lot of men will place themselves in high demanding, high achieving jobs because that's very important to them to achieve to the next goal, the next level. So it's nice to have the attention from somebody else because they've been working so hard
Completely.
all
and
day.
and as a, and as a female who, um
You're a high achieving female.
I have a lot of responsibility put on me
Yes.
on a daily basis. I make a lot of decisions. The pressure is always on me. I actually like, believe it or not, I know it's hard to tell, but I actually like being vulnerable and laying back and allowing a man to have that dominance over me. But I don't just give it to anybody. You have to prove that you can handle it, and that you know how to handle me. But once that's done, once that is established, I have no problem because I enjoy it. I don't want to make the decisions. I really don't. And so, and I really make that, I've made that known. I don't want to, because I make so many decisions every single day. So many people
Hmm.
are looking at me for so much stuff all
Yes.
day, every day. And I enjoy. I have learned. I didn't know that I enjoyed that. The more I've gotten to know myself, the more I realize, you know what? I actually like not having to be constantly in control of the whole situation, what we're
Hmm.
going to eat, where we're going to go, we're going to do this Friday night. I don't have to I enjoy not having to
And I
make
feel
those
like women with a
decisions.
lot of responsibilities, it's easy to be in that role during the day, during your career, and then taking it, in all parts of your life. So when somebody else comes in and takes that pressure off of you, it's really refreshing. And again, you're right. You don't know what you don't know until you do.
That's that's part of
Because
getting to know
sometimes,
yourself
and,
and
and I
dating
think somebody
yourself.
was just saying, the same walls you put up to protect yourself are the same walls that are blocking your blessings.
Yes, I mean, literally, God told me that exact same thing. He was like, the walls, Shantae, they were good to protect you then. Those same walls have closed you off, and you're in a prison of your own making now. And so we have to go through the process of stripping those walls, turn those walls down, because you can come out now. You're safe.
So one last thing on that. I mean, it's kind of weaves into it. There's a lot of queen mentality and I deserve
Hmm.
out there, which we all do. We're all beautiful, special, strong. We deserve to be loved. We deserve to be careful. We deserve to have what we want in life,
Hmm.
right? But where's when we cross that line of I deserve with not with receiving and not giving.
Mm.
So in other words, I'm sure maybe you've seen this yourself where you have some women. I'm a woman, so I can speak to this because I used to do this years ago, right? Instead, you need to treat him like a king if you want to be treated like a queen, instead of treating him like the jester. right? How often do we treat him like a jester, but we want to be treated like, and the I deserve, but how do we stop ourselves? And it goes back to what you were saying. What do I want now? What do I want for my future? And then acting in a manner to receive that, and becoming more aligned.
And Farah made a very good point last week, which is something that I live by. Before you ask, as a leader, in my job, in my life, in my community, before I ask anybody to do anything, I first got to go do it. So I'm going to lead by example. And God tells me all the time to have all, you got to give all. If you want all of this, you also got to give it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Give, and it shall be given unto you. If I'm not receiving something, this is what I've learned in life. If I'm not receiving something, I need to check on what am I giving?
Yeah.
Am I giving?
Yeah.
Am I giving out? If I'm receiving a whole bunch of negative, what am I giving out? Because that's a clear indication. So give, and it shall be given unto you. You want to be a queen? You want to, okay, first of all, am I even handling myself as a queen? Do I treat myself like a queen? And
Good
it's
point.
more than just buying, everything that I want and stuff like that. It's my mindset. Do I even know what the mindset of a queen is? Do I carry myself? Do I talk? Do I act like it? Do I treat others like that? So to have it, I have to first give it. And so that's how I live my life. That's how I think. I don't ascribe to a whole bunch of this
You
stuff.
know, I meet people all the time and I get these
Oh,
great
we
book
gotta
free
go.
questions, right? So you might want to read into the Go Giver series because it speaks to that giving
Yes.
without
Okay.
the intention of receiving. It's not about me, me, me.
It's not.
So this has been wonderful.
It
This has been great.
has.
Thank you. And we did not get to all the questions, but
We didn't even ask any questions from the audience. It's okay because
I
we're
we have
we're out of time, but I'll get to them. We'll do a video to answer any questions
okay.
that have come in. Lauren, I want to thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having me.
being our guest host, and you are part of the Girl Cave. We have 2 minutes. You're part of the Girl Cave, and we have a special treat for our audience tonight because there's a Girl Cave event coming
Yes.
up, and just talk about it real quick. You have a minute.
Thursday, February 22nd in Plano, Girl Cave Business Edition. Victory is our theme. We need you there. All day event. We're going to have a discount code for you here today in the comment. It's actually 2024 perk, one whole word. Level up, collaborate, connect. We're going to give you strategies. We're not just going to talk to you. We're going to give you strategies and insights to up level your life. And there's more goodies to come there. So you have to come. You have to come see us. Shantae is going to be there. And
It's going to be great. I am looking forward to it. I want to invite you all to join us next week. We are going to continue our talk on love, relationships, and family. We have two great guests joining us on next week, and we have something special for you at the end of the month. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining us. I love you, and I want you to have a great week.